People will say I did my PhD in storytelling. That's not accurate. It was religion, speech, and theater. But my dissertation was done on the work of a Roman Catholic theologian who has taught at Notre Dame for many, 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 many years. His name is John S. Dunne, D-U-N-N-E. And John Dunne's approach to spirituality is that the spiritual adventure today is what he calls passing over from our own life story and our own tradition to the life story of another, or another religious tradition even, not with the idea of converting, but with the idea of catching a glimpse of the world from somebody else's perspective, and then be able to come back to our own, both better able to hear that other person's perspective and with a broader view of the world. His paradigm for that really was Mohandas Gandhi, who was a Hindu all of his life, came to Great Britain to study law, fell in love with the Christian scripture, especially the Beatitudes, often wondered why when Christians had such a wonderful book they didn't follow it. It just baffled him. But he took from that back into his own tradition the idea that you can oppose evil nonviolently, but not passively. Active but nonviolent opposition to evil, he took back into his own tradition. Now, there was a young African-American Baptist preacher named Martin Luther King Jr., who learned from Gandhi some of those same techniques which he brought back into his own tradition. So in essence, what John Dunne is saying is that there's a cross-fertilization process as we speak across the boundaries that we as human beings set, whether it's the boundary between individuals or the boundary between cultures or the boundary between religious traditions. It seems to me that this holds a lot of hope in a time when religious traditions find all too many reasons to make enemies out of everybody else. This opens the door to some conversation. And I'm quite sure this has its root. For me, my interest in John Dunne and this whole process is rooted in the classes I took as an undergraduate with Dr. Hambrick, because I had grown up Christian, studied Mahayana Buddhism, thought, this is great. Why isn't there good stuff in my tradition? Went back to my tradition and found there's great stuff in my tradition. But I couldn't see it with fresh eyes until I had passed over to what Dunne calls the wonderland of that other life or other tradition. And the way that he suggests that we do that is through story, hearing each other's story, participating in each other's story, not trying to make sense out of the other person's story, but entering into it until it begins to make sense of us, and then coming back with new insight. So basically my dissertation was how you can use stories from other traditions, even religious traditions, in the religious education of adults in Christian settings.